make a big clap so I can sync the
And
two.
we start. Hey, I wanted to share why I thought doing oral histories are fun. And then the Soccer America interview with William came out this morning, and thought, well, that just stole all my thunder, and it really was a well done piece, and talked a lot about what he's learning his way through the process of doing oral histories. Mine started with a friend of mine who is an author. He's written 2 books, but that's a misnomer. He's created 2 books, one on blues music, blues musicians, and one on baseball. The first book is entitled Blues, and the second book is entitled Baseball for the Fun of It. His name is Anthony Connor, if you want to find those books. But what he did was interviews. He created themes for the books and just picked quotes from all the interviews he had done with blues musicians and with Hall of Fame baseball players. And I had not been exposed to that format in that depth before, and found it really interesting. So that when I had my first chance to talk with, this is early 80s, first chance to sit down and talk with Walter Barr and Harry Keogh, it was a real experience. And it got so far beyond just the relation of the game to all the stories that went around it, from palmetto bugs on the locker room wall to the stories of being in different places and doing different things and bouncing off of each other. It was a fascinating format that then led me forward to interviewing other people, and at the Hall of Fame, the opportunity to spend some time, not enough, with the people we're inducting and trying to get some of their backstories, and again, not enough. And David said he was down, and Tom's been there. You can't find the stuff in the archive, so I don't know what's happened to it. Some of it's audio, some of it's notes that were taken, but they weren't things that I preserved personally. But I just found that having the chance to talk with people and getting their reactions and interactions, all the things William talked about in his thing this morning, like I said, have really filled in the picture for me, and hopefully will serve as a resource for others to fill in pictures as they do their research. And those were the pieces I thought about, and I just wanted to share that with you, and I wanted it to be short, and I wanted you to ask me what you want to know.
Best oral history you ever conducted under the auspices of the National Soccer Hall of Fame, and why?
Best one and why? The best one was very short. It's probably 5-8 minutes with Ahmet Erdogan, because it was a whole different perspective from his ownership view and all the things that went around the cosmos from his perspective. It was just different, and of course he was, a year later he had died, so that it really was a special kind of moment in retrospect. And the perspective, the different perspective he had for doing it, and I guess his relating whole soccer experience to his whole recording industry, how much he thought about those things in similar ways, which was different. I mean, sport has really turned into that performance business, but that was the first time I had heard those things really put together that way.
One thing about him that always blew my mind when I heard this, he's someone, if there was somebody I'd want to meet in history, I think it's probably Ahmed, but he would refer to the pitch as the stage. So in the locker room at Giant Stadium, okay guys, time to take the stage. But so if that's your kind of, that was a great interview, can you remember one that didn't go so great, that maybe you were excited about and the person wasn't forthcoming, or one that was a real challenging oral history project?
I think the one that and it might have been me as much as them, was meeting Frank Borghi and Bobby Charlton in the lobby of the hotel in St. Louis. I had I had arranged to do an interview with Frank, which I did subsequently, but just by happenstance, as Frank walked in the door, Bobby Charlton walked in the door, and I had the chance to introduce them and start to talk, and Charlton got dragged away because he had something else to do. And so that was not to be able to catch a real interaction to them, between them, was the disappointment. The line that I remember is Charlton saying, "It's a pleasure to meet the man all England hates." So that was it was
And that America
disappointing.
knows nothing about.
Right. It was disappointing in the lost opportunity. Not so much. Most of the time, I've found people who were generally interested in talking, and of course the time you take, I think shows your interest in sincerity, and that then more stories open up. And so many of the Hall of Fame things were short, and it was teasers of what could be possible.
Would you argue that the new hall should sit the new inductees down on that weekend and get a comprehensive oral history on tape, on video, to be used and preserved for posterity?
I always wanted to do that. That was a project that I thought actually could be a piece of doing it beforehand and use that as part of the induction video. That would be a great thing. We just didn't have the resources to be able to do that. That's what, I have some tapes of some of those interviews, not many, because I left some of those things behind. But the whole idea of being able to catch it on video and putting that all together, I think that would be great. Wanted to do that, and we were never able to put all the resources together to be able to do that. So yes. That's the challenge of it, is things get lost, I think, when we don't do that. I've had a project I would have liked to pursue then, which was to do that with the 90 team focused around qualifying. That seemed to be like toward the end of those years at the Hall of Fame, that this was one we should do, because we were then going into the 20th year, and that's when the museum closed. So it would have been a great time to do it. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Jack. Great to see you again.
Great to see you.
Happy convention.
Yeah.
Good to see you too. What's the topic?
Well, I'm talking about, very shortly, about my enjoyment of doing oral histories and opportunities to do those things.
Somebody should do one on the founding of the Chicago Fire, don't you think? If you could
I-
research
If only,
guys.
if only we knew someone. I'm forgetting more every day. Which might be
I
good for you.
think about that too with the Coaches Association. I'm stopping in, I drove out so I could stop and visit with Mickey Cochran on the way home, and I hope that I can dig out my phone and capture some 20, 30 minutes about his earliest years with the association and his memories of maybe some of our originators, and save that for the
And the red
association.
vests,
And the red aprons, red
red
aprons,
aprons,
red aprons.
yellow vests, red aprons.
The glory of their times. We need a soccer version of that book.
Yes, yeah.
Have you considered on the qualifying the Trinidad, going back and revisiting with various people like Bobby Gansler and?
Yes, that was what I had put together, and of course, there just wasn't the funding to do that. And I must
What about
admit
doing it nowadays?
to a piece of burnout, and as I was the only one there in December of 2010, cleaning up the fields from the New York State Championships because our ground staff had all been laid off. And
Right. Well, what about revisiting that nowadays? And doing an oral history with the people that were there?
I think it would still be a valuable thing.
Yeah, I think it'd be fascinating.
Yep.
Get Everett Cummings with it too, though, because his stories of that day are pretty wild.
Yeah,
I'll
there-
bet.
There were really only 60 Americans there,
Yeah.
you know, in total, other than the team. It was a sea of Trinidad red.
A sea of red shirts.
It was a national holiday. Everything was off, right?
Yeah, and, you know, and you think about that compared to our recent qualification that went real badly, you know, down in Trinidad in front of not even a percentage of that hardly,
No,
you know, at a different venue,
It-
different field.
I think what happened recently was an inevitable outgrowth of what had happened before. That is, we've done this before, it's no big deal, and so we'll be fine. And we forgot that every time you walk on the field, you got to play.
Exactly. And first time around, you know, a tie wouldn't get it done.
No, that's right.
A tie
Which was
would-
probably better.
Yeah, a tie and a win got it done this time. But if you miss on the tie, oops.
Yep. So I have to run. You're close to